anytime, any day. Why not right now? Stop looking up to your boss and start being your own boss. Don't work for paychecks. Work for dreams with no regrets. This is Cracking the Entrepreneur Code. If you have the passion, we'll create the blueprint. Now, your host. You know him from his 7 tips to build the business you always wanted, and now you're about to hear a lot more. Jack H.M. Wong.
Welcome to another episode of Cracking the Entrepreneur Code podcast. I'm your host, Jack Wong. Okay, so we have spent 2 episodes of the time to deal with responsibility. Let's change the topic a little bit. In this episode, I would like to deal with this word. That is a word a lot of people don't like because somehow it smells. Are you ready for this word? Okay, you're ready. Good. So the word is sell. What? Sell? Yeah, sell. S-E-L-L. What does it mean? Well, you know what? A lot of people actually are afraid of selling. And in fact, the school didn't teach us how to sell. If you recall your days in school, the teachers do not know how to sell. Because if they are able to sell, you'll be very attentive to the class. Instead, some of you will just be bored to death, will be digressing around, check out. They didn't sell well in the class, and that's why you didn't pay attention, isn't it? So good students, on the other hand, actually have sold themselves out successfully. It's not because the teacher didn't know how to sell. It's because these students, what we call the model students, managed to sell themselves pretty well. Because they have convinced themselves, I have to do well in school so that I will have good grades, I will be able to promote to the next class, I will be graduate with a very nice paper, etc. So they have sold themselves. It's very interesting. As I always said in traditional education system, the 3 things which the school has never ever taught us successfully was number 1, sales. Number 2 is communication. Number 3 is negotiation. So what is sell? So if you think about sell, it means that I'm selling you a product or service. Well, I'm not even talking about that. The reason is that before I sell you a product and service, I must build a trust. I must build rapport with you. I must sell myself successfully to you first, or else it's too early to talk about my product and my services, isn't it? Right? So, selling to me is about conveying a message, persuading you to take action. It's that simple. So sometimes it might be just an idea. So let's say you're an employee and you are dealing with your boss right now and you want the boss to agree with your suggestion. So isn't it true that you are selling this idea to your boss? So if you think that as an employee you don't sell, I really want you to think about it carefully. It's not true. If you are a lawyer, an accountant, you are constantly selling these solutions to your clients to help them save taxes, to help them clean up the financial numbers, etc., etc. If you are business owners, isn't it true that your job is to sell your solution to your clients to solve their problems, right? So at the end of the day, I don't care whether you're an employee, I don't care if you are a business owner or even professional, you are all selling every single day. How many of you actually are married? Okay, if you are married, then you have successfully sold yourself to your next half. Otherwise, there won't be any marriage, right? And if you have kids, do you know kids are very good in sales? Why? Because my coach Blair Singer says, in a selling situation, the one with highest energy usually wins. So it means that when you are dealing with your child and you somehow lose out to your child, it's because your child is a better seller than you and his or her energy is higher than you. So you know what? Kids are very good in sales. I always give credit to my son Sam, age 16 right now. I didn't teach him how to sell actually, but what happened is that he is able to do exchanges outside with other people. Like for example, last year he got his new Microsoft Xbox. I didn't give him any money. I didn't really teach him how to sell, but he said he was able to get a new Xbox by selling the old one with some freebies away. It's like, oh my God. It's like, this is what we call selling, because he is able to look at his resources and come with the solution to decide this is the way I propose to sell and get what he wants, right? So if you don't believe that you have the ability to sell, well, you can always ask my son to talk about it, because my son is a very good salesperson from my perspective, from my experience, okay? And next thing is, now that you are able to convince or persuade your client, your customer to take action, the next thing you are selling, of course, yes, it is your product, your services. Are your products and services something that will give values to your customers, to your clients? Are you able to sell them? Are you able to convince why they have to buy? Now I'm going to think about a few more episodes. I will spend a few more episodes to talk about this concept, why they buy in future. Because many times, a lot of sales professionals focus on the advanced technique of selling. But what they have been missing is not important. It's actually about why these people buy from you. Okay, so I will take a few episodes in future to deal with this concept called why they buy. But meanwhile, coming back to the word sell, you're not just selling yourself, your product, your services. Imagine if you want to build your business, to scale your business, you have to create a team. So question that often comes to me is, how do I build a team? Well, it depends on how you sell yourself to convince people to join your team. Oh my God, that is also sales. Yes. So selling people by persuading them to join your team, to build a championship team, is actually a sales process. And now the next thing is, okay, now the team is going to be selling on your behalf. So you got to teach your team how to sell. So you see, the word sell is so important. Like my coach Blair Singer says, it's important because sales equals income. If you do not have this ability to sell, there's no money coming to your pocket. Then what are you going to do with your family? So you've got to learn how to sell. Many times when we are talking about the word sell, what is the first thing that will come to your mind? Well, all this is because of your past experience, or maybe other people's past experience. They can come from your parents. They can come from your family. Because if a family see money as something that is dirty, you might be brought up in that environment and see money is dirty. If your parents says, well, don't ever talk to these salespeople because they are scam. And guess what? You will be programmed in your mind and you'll be afraid of meeting salespeople because these are scammy people. So you know what? Your past experience that have been stored in your subconscious mind can affect your ability to sell. It's not about going for another course to learn the advanced technique in sales. To me, yes, it's good to learn all this. It's good to pick up the languaging. It's good to communicate and build rapport with other people. It's good to connect with your customers and audiences. But that being said, the very first person you must know how to sell to is you. That's right, it's you. So many times, in my line of work, when I deal with clients who are afraid of selling, I will always ask them to do one thing. And this thing can be requires a lot of guts. So I will just give you in the next 2 minutes how you do it. It is like, okay, I'm now declaring to the world that I'm worthy. Sounds simple, right? No, it's not that. I'm worthy because I am charging my client. So you give yourself a number in terms of your hourly rate. So let's say you are doing consulting work and you're charging your client $20,000. It sounds huge, right? Okay, so you may want to back down a little bit. You say, I will charge my client $2,000. Okay? So I want you to take off your clothes, go to the bathroom, stand in front of the mirror, and you declare, I am worth $2,000 an hour, and let you feel let the emotion feel. And if you feel the vibration, that means it's real, okay? So now, in your subconscious mind, you have installed a program called your hourly rate is worth $2,000. Now, here's the deal. If you can't do this exercise, you would never be able to command $2,000 an hour. Because if you can't convince yourself, you can't sell to yourself that you're worth $2,000 an hour, how are you able to persuade your client and charge your client $2,000 an hour? So this is a very, very effective exercise to establish what I call self-worth. And I would like to acknowledge this process from my coach's coach, Matt Newton, mattnewton.com. And because Matt actually has this process, which I use it for myself, and I use it for my clients, and it worked really well. I have a client who was able to convince himself to command $5,000 an hour, and his sales triple, quadruple in the matter of just 6 weeks. Because self-worth is everything. So I want you to experience this process, establish your hourly rate, and that is what I will call the self-worth. Hope that you find this useful. And if you have any questions, let me know. If you have friends who you think will benefit from this episode to establish their self-worth, share this with them. Let them know. Ask them to subscribe to this podcast. And remember, be relentless and raise your self-worth and say, I am worthy. Okay? So thanks for listening. Jack Wong here. I'm signing off. I will see you in the next episode of Cracking the Entrepreneur Code podcast. Bye.
To continue cracking the entrepreneur code, subscribe for more episodes and download the Amazon bestseller, Cracking the Entrepreneur Code, 7 Tips to Build the Business You Always Wanted at crackingentrepreneurcode.com. Learn more about author and host Jack H.M. Wong and book your 30-minute discovery session to overcome any professional challenge at jackhmwong.com/apply.